Welcome everybody, welcome to the term of illumination, and welcome to the physics you're never taught at your schools. Never taught the truth. That's what this channel's all about, teaching the truth about our realm, the earth we live on, and the toroidal field we live within. We don't live on the outside of a spinning ball. That's for mugs. That's for the common man, so-called mortal man, who will never gain his spiritual insight because he's deep down in the rabbit hole through indoctrination since he was 5 years old with the spinning ball model, believing all the mainstream medias, television, your governments, all the high-ranking Freemasons. But this is all the untold stuff that the Freemasons know but won't tell you. And one of their go-to books is The Desire of Ages. Everything is in here. If you want to know all about Christ, understand the Christ, how it's related to the zodiac and the celestial bodies in the sky, you want to listen to every word. It's in audio form as well, if you can't read. But every passage, every sentence actually means something. So I've been listening to it again. The last time I listened to it was like about 5 years ago. And I'm just grabbing messages and jotting them down now and then willy-nilly, which I'll read to you, just to give you an example of what it's like. But check out my earlier videos if you haven't seen them before. So I'll just read a couple now, give you the idea of what's going on in here. This describes everything. Everything, all religions is about the divine celestial alignments. It's all cosmic. Astrophysics, as Santos calls it. That's basically what it is. It's all about the two hemispheres of our Earth, the northern central hemisphere and the outer southern hemisphere that moves around it. 33% larger than what's in here. That's due to the expansion of the toroidal field, energy flowing outward. Science tells you that the universe is expanding. Well, they're half pi right, because it is expanding out to the south, then it returns back up inside. That's a toroidal field for you. And most of us understand blue shift, red shift. Blue is close to you, red is further away. So, and everything's projected from the centre north, mirrored out into the south, mirrored out from the centre. As this moves around, continuously moving, because the toroidal field is continuously moving, due to the poloidal field, the electrical, where the sun has been created. So we have the sun created in our realm. So, and this is all like acts like a ring magnet, an axial circulation and a radial, because you have this dipping at the tropics. Check out my earlier videos. It doesn't pass over here. Science has failed to detect that the magnetic field does not cross the tropics, or they're just outright lying to you to create their ball model. Nothing crosses the tropics. Winds, nothing. Currents don't. Obviously the water's there, but the currents aren't. They're swirling away. Winds are swirling away. The magnetic field of Earth comes out of the north, goes down there, Tropic Cancer, through the ground. Spirals up here and up and over here, down to the ground at Capricorn, back this way. That's the infinity symbol. That's how it all works. So understand, everything is celestial, and it's well described in here. But you have to think and listen to every sentence. So this is just a couple of chapters I listened to. The providence of God has placed Jesus where he was, and he depended on his heavenly Father for the means to relieve the necessity. So what they're basically saying, Jesus is the sun, okay? That's the astro side of it. But the Christ is something within man. That's the raising of the Kundalini in there. So what they're saying is, the providence of God. God has placed Jesus, the sun, on the horizon of the black hole, because the black hole is the Father. Where he was, and he depended on his heavenly Father for the means to relieve the necessity. So it's the turning of the black hole, it's the vortex, it's the black hole in there with the sun on its horizon. Okay? And when we are brought into straight places, we depend on God. So us as humans down on earth, when the two Milky Ways line up, straight placing in your arc of horizon, then we depend on God. That's when you get your godly enlightenment, your spiritual awakening. So this video is mainly about the, well, we're going to delve into it, the Milky Ways, how they align. So in the southern hemisphere, there's a couple of drawings. There's one here, there's the northern hemisphere. That's north, centre north. That's where every creation comes out of there. The centre of the toroidal field. Okay, so all the northern hemisphere is projected from the north. That's the image, that's our main image. But then across the tropics, we get the mirrored image of that in a hyperboloid effect, where it's, because the field, if you take that as the whole earthly realm and say, it's in this is north centre, but it's projected to the south, you get this concave firmament projecting the image back to you, which is another circular motion, thanks to the parabolic mirrored image of the central north. Check out my earlier videos. But you've got to understand, like, this is the north pole of a magnet, and that's the south pole, and they're wanting to get to each other to find equilibrium, but they cannot, because they have this dielectric gap here, the place of avoidance. This is the blown up version of the dead centre of creation, where the black hole is, because that's the place of rest, the place of avoidance as well, because all the action's around its horizon. This is the blown up in our realm. So we exist in the blown up image in here. That black hole place of rest in here is the state of inertia, which has created the flat plane of Earth, which is the flat plane of inertia. But all the action around it creates our whole toroidal field around the whole Earth. So we have this tropical gap, and all the celestial bodies are going around it like this, as though that is the ecliptic plane, way back here on the horizon of the vortex, the central vortex. I can't draw everything at once. You have to check out my earlier videos. The central vortex of creation back in there has the ecliptic plane on its horizon. A big circle, similar to this, but circles. And right on the inside track is the sun. So where are we going? So this is the blown up version. Our tropical gap is the blown up image of that ecliptic plane, basically. Instead of going around in there, it's going around outside in our expanded realm. Because we're in a toroidal field, right? All the energy comes out of the centre and blows out. It's expressed out of a central hyperboloid to create this toroidal field. And when you look at some toroidal fields, they sort of look like this. But then they have this other part in here, don't they? Or like that. Well, that part there, that represents the northern hemisphere, the central northern hemisphere. Central northern hemisphere. And the moving southern field around it. And there's the southern field out here. So you've got the gap here. You see this image here. Toroidal field like that. There's the tropical gap. That's where the sun, the electrical part of it, has been created. And due to that moving electrical current, we get the changing magnetic field, which is creating this infinity symbol, changing magnetic field. And because the changing magnetic field is changing, obviously, is helping to move, is moving the sun around here. Moves the sun around there. So the changing magnetic field's here, which creates this moving sun, because it's forever flowing and changing, keeping the sun moving around here, the electrical. And the sun, the electrical moving, keeps the magnetic field moving, changing. That's all in science if you want to look it up. But anyway, I'll carry on reading this. So, brought into straight places, we depend on God. Brought into straight places. And all the religious stories referring to spring. The barley loaves, it's all about the one spring. It's only the September spring. Coming into the southern equinox. Towards the southern equinox, yeah. So what happens is you get the Milky Way. Everything's spot in the south, because of the mirrored image. And we know, science tells us the magnetic field is strongest at the poles, which is right. Which is basically there's north to south. And then they tell you it flows over the ball. Well, it doesn't flow over the ball, it's a load of garbage. But they're both strong there, but very weak here. And that's why they've failed to detect that the magnetic field does not cross. So anyway, everything spirals out of this image we get in the southern hemisphere. See, it all comes around this way. Moving, it's southwest. This is south. It's north for there. That's north. South. And this is north. North here. Everybody is on a meridian from north to south. Meridian and your arc of horizon. So within your arc of horizon, you'll get an image of the southern rotation dead centre and dead centre of the northern rotation, depending where you are laterally on the earth though. That's all within man's arc of horizon. But you start looking east or west, everything starts warping away. You've stepped out of your alignment. This is easily understood with star trail photography. Otherwise you just stand there and just watch stars slowly move across the sky, very slowly. So anyway, there's a Milky Way, which it's separate to all the other celestial bodies, background stars. This is the helix, the umbilical cord. And this one, and there's the northern one. They come around and they meet. And there's a crossing. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now, this crossing only happens in the around this period of September, spring, or actually could be stretched a bit further than that, because we see Orion's belt come round, become visible for 9 months of the year. Otherwise the sun's caught up to it and lost it for the other 3. So when we see it coming up over the horizon from the east, it'll keep flowing, gradually creeping to the west over 9 months. And everybody, because everybody in the northern hemisphere, no matter which way, wherever he's looking south, he's going to end up getting a direct north to south image, right? An alignment where he is. That's where the 2 Milky Ways meet on his alignment. It's the most divine moment in all of religion, of our entire existence. That alignment. Now, but that alignment has to swing around when the moon's full and it catches the moon. So it gets the moon and the sun in the Milky Way together. That's gold and silver together. That's your spiritual awakening, if you're consciously alert to it. But anyway, I put all that in a previous video actually. But what I want to tell you today is at the end of the season, you're going to go outside at say 9 o'clock at night and you're going to find the Milky Ways like this. It's way round here. It's not there anymore because it's following Orion's belt. The Milky Way at this end is attached to the Orion's belt. So there's one there. There's one there. So let's say Orion's about, he's gone right down round to his west. So right round to his west will be way round here. Way round to here now for the northern hemisphere. So his Milky Way is now aiming this way, not that way. So you go outside and see that. So we're out of the season now. It's too late. There's going to be no alignments. It's warped away. No one's going to get that alignment. Because over the year, this keeps travelling around here. This keeps travelling around here. So that Milky Way follows that all the way around. This is why they have a bit of a Milky Way season, you see. It's going to disappear around here. Isn't it, for a while? Before it starts coming back out around here. Which is the start of the Orion's Belt season again. Mid-August, or early August, is it? Mid-August, somewhere around there. For us in the southern hemisphere anyway. I've never really caught usually really crappy weather, so I never catch it coming up on the eastern horizon. It's not till it's like at least 30 degrees up off the horizon before I see it coming from the east. But that's the most divine period in all of man's existence. It's the meaning to life, is to wake up and to catch those two alignments. All the Freemasons know this stuff, eh? When you start listening to that. It's all hidden in there. So go check that out. You see Orion's Belt down on the western horizon now. The Milky Way trails to it. Oh, this is the other thing. That's the thing I was supposed to be talking about. It's not actually like this. You'll see it. Look up in the sky. It looks like this. It's like that. But it stops there because it's gone out of your arc of horizon. So you only see so much, but you can sort of see where it's heading straight towards Orion's Belt. But it goes so far and then disappears. Because it's disappearing out of your half of the evening, out of your arc of horizon, because the whole thing spirals right, continues that thing right round into here. That's where it comes from. But you don't see that. Look, you don't see this. Well, it must come out like that. You wouldn't see that half. Basically like this. So anyone can go outside and see it, and you see the Milky Way just disappears like that on your horizon, outside of man's arc of horizon. You only see so far, but you're pretty much seeing this one. You're just not seeing the end of that one because it's curling right around and out. So they're all doing that. It curls right round like this. But you only see it stop here towards your eastern horizon. The Milky Way just fades away. So if you bring out maybe good cameras, P900s will get a bit further, probably see it a bit further, but that won't prove much. But this is it, guys. It's just proof that all my model's correct. You can't debunk it. It's the truth. I know the whole system. So that's going to disappear, and it's going to keep spiraling around, and then come back out August. You see. So this is how you see it for a southerner on his arc of horizon, because it's like a mini-me version of the whole Earth. So you have to relate that back to the whole Earth. So where Orion's Belt is coming through right around the tropical gap of the flat Earth system. You know, they can't explain that, Orion's Belt, because they know it's not a ball Earth. This proves it's not a ball Earth. This proves it's not a ball Earth. This proves it's not a ball Earth. When you can see that for 9 months of the year and not 3. You'd be 50-50 on it. symmetrical spinning ball, wouldn't it? No, well, yes, it's rubbish. So I'll read some more of this from the Desire of Ages. I recommend everybody gets it, okay? Even atheists, you know, it's going to be a shock to those guys if they know how to think, but they probably don't. Right. The more we impart, the more we receive. So you have to realise the more downloading we get from the big guy up there, and we share the information, more information will come into us to give away, to give to you guys. So the more I get questioned, the more comes into me, and the more I can show you. That's why I like questions, it makes me think. And it's the same with being a good person. The more good you do in society, the more you receive. Like, it's just a really good thing, isn't it? Because God is love and good. Lord is love and God is good. It's all in here. Okay. To all appearance, it seems to move slowly. Yes, the whole night sky moves slowly, but the Milky Way, yeah, it moves slowly. But the Milky Way is a separate entity of stars, okay? Because you've got the central vortex of creation, all the stars in it, and this basic tube of stars rolls over it. So that's where you should get the parallax between these stars and the background stars. I haven't had a telescope for years, but I'm 99.999% sure. Right, the build-up of Christ will move forward. It's telling us that, you know, the sun moves forward, not like your science where the sun's stationary and Earth is spinning around it. The sun is in the Milky Way and it's moving forward. It's the quickest celestial body in the night sky, in the sky, sorry. And the impossibility, I might not have written this down properly, and the impossibility seemed to testify against advance. The work is of God, and He will furnish the means and send helpers. And the impossibility seems to testify against advance. They were sort of alluding to the fact that your science tells you this one BS story about the sun being stationary and all that, and how I've been trying to explain how the sun is quicker, how it's quicker than the stars and all that. Most people just can't get it. They think the stars are quicker because they turn up sooner, only because the sun's raced ahead on the other side. There's another one. Who in their turn gets their alignment, and these are turning. Who in their turn? So everything's turning there. It is a mistake to trust human wisdom or numbers in the work of God. This is taken out of context, but they're basically telling you, the common man, spinning you a really dorky story, and you're all falling for it. Only the one who's had this alignment knows what he's talking about. This is chapter 39. Not sure what chapter that was, but this is chapter 30. Oh, same chapter maybe. Maybe not. 39. Missed him. So it missed him. The alignment didn't quite line up for that guy. Maybe something does have to do with that. In a secluded place. Missed the divine teaching. Noticed the direction. Passover was near. That's your Passover when they swing around like this in the alignment. You know, it's all celestial. Your Passover, pretty common sense. Compassion towards Him, rolling forward. Milky Way rolling forward, the sun rolling forward, catching up to the sun, moon and the other stars. To cease from his toil. Helix, toil. Then we talk about barley loaves. He talks about they talk about it. 5 barley loaves and 2 little fishes. So the way I've put it down, I've interpreted it as you've got 5 constellations, from the start. That Santos keeps telling us about. The start is always at Aries there. You count 5, you've got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. So Leo was the divine event, the solar eclipse, and it all leads into this whole Christian story. So you've got 5. You could call those loaves, which is where the sun is, you see. But it's also associated with the 2 fishes, which is the moon sign in Pisces. It's the whole Jesus Christ story. And then later on in the chapters, I've noted down that he mentioned the 5 loaves again, and then he went on to say 7 loaves left over. So 7 and 5 is 12, isn't it? So he's talking about the constellations again. That was one. Another one, blessings speak. Oh, speak the words. The words that come out of your mouth are the sounds. This is why we must pronounce our words properly. I've never done that. Anyway, seed for sowing. It's spring. The whole event is to do with spring. That's what the barley loaves are all about. They mention spring a lot in here. Spring evening, whatever. Twilight. Chapter 40. Twilight of the spring evening. Sharer of the loaves. It will happen in the middle of the night. Came like a thief in the night in the spring, early spring. Make Judah a living paradise. Place Jesus on the throne. That means this alignment's directly overhead. It's your zenith. Christ is on the throne. We know earlier videos will show you the sun to the top of the arc of the horizon anyway. Ruin their popular delusion. Ruin their popular delusion. They talk about the rubbish they're taught in churches and stuff by people who have no idea. It's all misinterpreted or just there. It's just there, you know. They just want you to believe their story, their version. Jesus advances as though he would pass them. Christ, God, the Son, and he does. He passes everything, catches up and passes everything. There's no flipping retrograde. What do they call it? I forget the word now. Retrograding? Yeah, retrograde. No, it's all garbage. The sun's catching up, then passes it. So if the sun's catching up to something, it looks like they're telling you that's coming this way when the sun's going that way. And the sun gets up to it, then that starts going like that way. Then it gets further away from it, and then they notice, oh, they're all going that way now. When all along they're always going like this. It's just as the sun catches up, passes it. It's still going this way though. The master turns. He looks back at them as he passes. 41. He moves against adverse winds. So I live by the Father, so shall ye. The Son lives by the Father, by the black hole. So shall we. The place of rest, divinity. That's what meditation's all about. Going to that deep place. That's why you pray and do all that stuff alone. It's a personal thing. Mainly at night. Because during the day the sun is active, but at night, can't describe it exactly, but the night time is the time to pray. Daytime's the time for meditation and sun gazing. Might have something else here, just have a quick look. No, I had some other information somewhere, I'm not sure where it is. So anyway, hope you understand that. There's 2 systems. They don't teach you that in school. Nowhere.